sippy cup.
Excellent.
Right? It's a one. It's
Oh
a
my
one
God,
sippy
that's
cup.
glorious.
That is
That's
a great cup.
fantastic.
That is great.
Love it. I think
I
I may go
love it.
fill it. I may go fill it up.
I want that.
Mort,
Hello, everybody. Shabbat shalom. Brian, hello.
you see?
Hello,
Mort, hi.
I am here.
Hello, Mort.
You see you.
So you figured out how to get on
Okay.
Saturday, on Friday night?
I was spelling bereavement wrong, if you can believe that.
Oops.
I always was B-E-R, not B-R, and that's why I couldn't get it. But I
You were there at
figured
the
it out.
end. It's good. It was all good. It was nice to have two men on after all those women.
Well, yeah, especially one of them said I look like somebody.
Smile? Yes. You just figured that out?
Yeah.
You sure you don't want your glasses?
Andrea, cheers.
Cheers. L'chaim.
Cheers. L'chaim.
Right,
Andrea, can I have a sip? Thank you so much.
Of course you can have some.
Shabbat shalom, everyone. To all those of you signing on, we're going to give people, we'll give to about 6:35 or so before we start, just in case there was traffic.
You were early.
So,
That was the better half.
hello,
there.
Margaret. Hi.
Hello.
I guess I'll have to start early.
Um,
You're not alone.
I had somebody who said he wanted to call me late last night, and I texted back and I said, that's fine, but remember, the drunker you call, the later I am. So,
Later on. Brilliant.
Hi,
hello,
Bob.
Bob.
Got hear my name?
Yep. Hi.
Bob and Susan?
Oh, it's still early.
Oh, yeah, it's early. Did I hear, someone said that they're predicting snow for New Jersey?
Yes.
Yeah, it's Sussex County.
Sussex,
not
okay,
by us.
Marlboro.
No, not by us.
Possible
Yeah.
New Jersey.
Huh. We're supposed to get 2 inches here.
Oh my gosh.
Mother's Day weekend.
Yeah.
Hi, Susan, hello.
The
Good to see you.
magnolia's out. The tulips are out. The
Yep.
daffodils are out.
I know. My lilacs are blooming.
My Mayflowers are out.
Mhm. I just saw my first hummingbird up here.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
That's neat. I'm actually really excited by that.
What you do?
Oh, Larry got off work in time.
I did.
Right.
Shabbat shalom, Rabbi.
Shalom, you didn't have to put on a tie for us, Larry.
I should take off my hat, I guess.
I don't know. I'm just looking at the picture, so I don't know what
Oh, all right. How do I do that? Let's see if we can figure it out.
lower left corner, start the video. Shabbat shalom to everyone joining us. We're going to give people just about 35 and then we'll start. So relax. Several people have started with cocktails already, and I am not objecting to that.
It's called Oneg Shabbat.
Right. Oneg Shabbat. If you're not leading the service, you're welcome to start with the line. We'll sure and I'll wait till a little later, but it's okay.
Unless, of course, you want us to start. Well,
Unless, no, that's not a good idea.
Hey, Robin.
Hello to everyone. Who's parakeet? I love it. Like
Mine. I have to like mute myself soon.
it's okay. No, right now it's a gorgeous sound. It's really nice.
Very noisy.
You okay?
Hello to everyone joining. We're just giving people a couple of minutes. If you would allow us to see you on video, please start the video, the lower left corner of your screen. It just helps us to see that there are humans out there and not just words. So we're not worried about whether you had your hair done this week.
They can see. Yeah.
So it's no problem.
Hey, Lynn
Hi.
and David. Hi, Lynn and David.
Hello. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Shalom.
We're giving people just a couple of minutes to find their way online and get it all started. So
Well, it was until I picked it
תודה
up,
רבה לך בשביל המכתב שלך.
moved it.
But here, listen in.
Some wine?
And David's over there too.
I could get a little fish.
I think they're using a phone instead of.
Shabbat shalom, everyone. Talk amongst yourselves till we get started. Just a couple of minutes. As I said, if you wouldn't mind sharing your video, we would appreciate it, just because you're looking at a screen of names. So again, we're not worried about whether you had your hair done, because you didn't. So it's fine. And so go to the lower.
I had mine done 6 weeks ago, but now it's overdue. So
And all are too. So no.
I really don't care.
So if you go to the lower left corner of your screen, there'll be a thing that says start video. And if you do that, then we can see you too. Thank you. It's already started.
Okay, already on.
Brian started an error. Brian, just checking that you started the recording on this.
It is
Yeah.
recorded.
Okay.
Beverage of choice.
I'm actually recording it twice. Once
Twice
on
is great.
YouTube and once at YouTube. So,
Okay.
so we should be good.
Thank you.
Seltzer. You coming, Rick?
Suzanne, when do you want us to send you the singing part?
Whenever you can. I have a folder, a Google folder I just put together today, and I'll send it out to everyone. that You can drop.
I never got
them into.
anything. I never got anything definite about that.
Who, I
Miriam,
can't see who's speaking.
Miriam,
Miriam.
I never got.
Oh, I thought you wrote in that, I thought you wrote in that you weren't going to do it.
Well, I said Jody might be able to help me, but I would need some notice. I don't even.
Oh, sure. Okay. Yeah, I'll send it.
Okay.
I'll send it out to you. Yeah.
All right, everybody. Shabbat shalom. We
Hello.
are going to mute everyone for now. At the end of the service, we will unmute everybody, and you can hang around and have oneg and blues and whatever. So we'll do that. Okay. Oh, Brian already did it. Thank you. So we are unmuted. Great. Shabbat shalom. I hope you've had a good week. I hope, well, you're online, which means you survived. So that's already, at this point, 90%. So let's take a minute and let's just think about how the week has been. I talked, I can even keep track, last week or the week before, about numbering our days and finding something special in the same places. You know, you turn to your spouse and you go, what's new? Nothing. You call someone on the phone and go, what's new? Nothing. But nonetheless, think back through your week. Find something that made this week worth living, not just surviving. So just take a minute and think about what that might have been for you. So this evening's service, we're going to do a little bit differently. I'm going to go to this. That's a lot of things up here. What am I looking at? Hold on just 1 second, if you would.
What does it say?
iPhone, iPad, but
I don't know.
one says whiteboard. Is it whiteboard?
Okay, sweetie. No, stop. There you go.
That's not shared.
I go to Zoom.
What do you, Noah?
Okay, calm down.
Hold on just a second. We're trying to make this work on Shira's computer, which I'm not the inside story.
This one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Double click.
How do I just close these?
Hmm?
You want to close those?
All the windows.
All the windows.
Except like the two we're using. There are a way to, we have to go to each app. Oh, never mind. Okay, never mind. Sorry. Okay, no problem.
In the future.
Hang on one second. I'm not an Apple person. Okay, now.
Can everybody
so
see?
Please tell me it just says the inside story of TRT. Could you nod if it does? Okay, thank you. So we're going to be going back and forth in the service, and if you have your Siddur, we'll be using that as well. Last summer, when I announced that I'd be retiring, I realized that there were some parts of our corporate memory that I know, and I don't know who else knows. And I realized that at some point before it was time to say goodbye, I needed to share that knowledge. So during the service tonight, we're going to alternate between the service and some stories about things at TRT. They're family memories for people who've been around a long time. And you might go, oh, I remember that. And they're family memories for people who have just recently joined the family. Because part of being in the family is knowing the stories, knowing the family stories. When I became part of Shira's family, I gradually learned her family's stories, as she did with mine, so that we could share shorthand versions of what they are. And so what I'm going to do this evening is try to share with you some of the things, some of them big and major, some of them very minor, but some of the things that make up what TRT is for me. So we're going to start with get this right.
There we go.
Okay. And please, where you are, join in with us.
In this house, it all comes together in this house. In this house, it all comes together in this house of God. In this house beats the heart of a family. In this house, in the center of community. We study and we pray. We find meaning in each day. In this house, back to the beginning. In this house, we all comes together in this house. In this house, it all comes together in this house of God. A house of study.
Okay.
There we go. A house of study.
In this house.
A house of prayer.
In this house.
A house of gathering.
In this house.
From everywhere.
In this house.
In this house. In this house, it all comes together in this house. In this house, it all comes together in this house
of God. So, to begin, how did we get our name? I don't know if you've checked this, but if you Google Temple Rodef Torah, you get only one congregation. Not in New Jersey, not in the United States, in the world. There is only one Temple Rodef Torah. So there are various stories about how the name came about. I spoke today with Barbara Klein to go back and make sure I had the right one. And she said that back at the beginning, the very beginning, when people got together to create this congregation, they had narrowed it down to the word Rodef and didn't know if they wanted it to be Shalom, Rodef Shalom, pursuers of peace, or Rodef Torah, pursuers of knowledge. When the meeting was over, they had taken a secret ballot, and Rodef Torah had won. And one whole group of people had voted for Rodef Shalom. All the people, according to Barbara, who voted for Rodef Torah left the congregation within the next month. And all the people who had voted for Rodef Shalom stayed. So the first group left us with one blessing, and it is something which I've always thought was a blessing, which is that there is no place like TRT. There is no congregation like Rodef Torah. If you were to Google Rodef Shalom, you're going to find hundreds of listings everywhere. There is just one of us. And I've always felt that was true. I felt it was part of our destiny to be seekers of knowledge and to do things a little differently than people did it in other places. And so even though most of us haven't been to the building in a while, welcome to 15 Mohawk Drive and Temple Rodef Torah.
We continue on page 128 with Hine Matov. Hine Matov umanayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine Matov umanayim shevet achim gam yachad. Once again. Hine Matov umanayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine Matov umanayim shevet achim gam yachad. How good it is.
How good it is.
How sweet it is.
How sweet it is
to be together on this day. How good it is.
How good it is.
How sweet it is.
How sweet it is
to be together on this day. Shalom Aleichem, Shalom Aleikum, Shalom Aleichem, Salam Aleikum, Shalom Aleichem, Salam Aleikum, Shalom Aleichem, Salam Aleikum. How good it is.
How good it is.
How sweet it is.
How sweet it is
to be together on this day. How good it is.
How good it is.
How sweet it is.
How sweet it is
to be together on this day. Hine Matov umanayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine Matov umanayim shevet achim gam yachad. And now please turn to page 142 for Shalom Aleichem. Wait a couple seconds while everybody gets to that page, 142. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Nimelech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei, Malachi Elyon, Nimelech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruchuni L'Shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech, Malachei HaMlachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzidchem L'Shalom, Malachi HaShalom, Malachi, Malachi Elyon, Melech, Malachi HaMlachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
We continue on page 121 and 120 as we light Shabbat candles and declare Shabbat has begun in our world, in our home. O source of light and truth, creator of the eternal law of goodness, help us to find knowledge by which to live. Lead us to take the words we shall speak into our hearts and our lives. Bless all who enter this sanctuary in need, all who bring the offerings of their hearts. May our worship lead us to acts of kindness, peace, and love.
Baruch Ata Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, Asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu להדליק של שבת.
And so we go on to the next little story. Here we go. There we go. I'm going to share with you something that's a little mystical, and you may never have even noticed what was going on when you saw this. When we built the building, we left a clear window between the office and the hallway. And we did that so that people in the office could see who was outside before they came in. Of course, if you think about it, we had not given any thought to security. It was 1989 when we were building it. And so that really wasn't even a question. But if you think about this window, which is in the hallway of the temple, it doesn't help a whole lot for the people who are in the office, because by the time they could be seen through that clear glass window, they were already in the building. We don't have a window out to the atrium, which would have made sense, but oh well, that ship has sailed. So we had this clear window, and people could look in and see what Cheryl and Jerry and the others were doing in the office, and they did. And Cheryl and Jerry and the others felt a little bit like they were in an aquarium, but that was life. And then a congregant, and I have to apologize, I don't remember who this was. And if you know, if it was you, please tell me. A congregant came to me and said, yes.
Barbara Friedman.
It was Barbara Friedman?
Yes.
Oh, well, cool, thank you. I didn't know that. That's now part of it. Barbara Friedman came to us and said, I have relatives who come from the Bronx, and there was a shul that closed down in the Bronx. And when it was closing down, they offered people, whatever you want to take. So they took a stained glass window from this shul in the Bronx. I asked what shul. No one remembered. I said, okay. And they said, do you want it? And I said, what on earth would we do with a long rectangular stained glass window? And they said, we don't know. And they had a picture of it. And I thought, that couldn't be. And I asked them if they would please go back to their basement and measure that stained glass window. They went home and they measured it. And they came back and they told us the size. And it was, to a fraction of an inch, the size of the clear glass window that we had built at TRT. If you see the frame, all that was done was that this stained glass was placed on the office side of that window and a wooden frame was constructed around it. But it fit in. We didn't do demolition on the wall. We didn't do anything. This piece of stained glass, which comes from some unknown synagogue, and again, Cheryl, if you know, tell me, was exactly the size of the opening that we had. And so we put it in. And when it's light outside, you can see from the inside like this. When it's dark outside and you look in from the parking lot and you look in through the office window, you see it shining with the lights from the hallway. And I've spent so much time staring at this and wondering when it was made. I know why it was made. Just look at it and you can see. But that shul in the Bronx lives on. It lives on because whatever person designed this piece of stained glass, he or she, unbeknownst to them, found the piece to our picture and filled in this part of the puzzle. And I love that TRT story.
If you are able, please turn to page 146 and rise, or if you are going to remain seated, let your hearts look up to heaven. Ya la 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 la, 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 ya la 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 la. Baruch et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Le'olam va'ed, Le'olam va'ed. Ya la 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 la, 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 ya la 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 la.
148. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, ruler of the universe, who speaks the evening into being, skillfully opens the gates, thoughtfully alters the time and changes the seasons, and arranges the stars in their heavenly courses according to plan. You are creator of day and night, rolling light away from darkness and darkness from light, transforming day into night and distinguishing one from the other. Adonai Tzvaot is your name. Ever-living God, may you reign continually over us into eternity. Blessed are you, Adonai, who brings on evening. Baruch atah Adonai, hama'ariv araviu.
Page 150. Ahavat olam, Beit Yisrael, Amcha ahavta, Amcha ahavta, Torah u'mitzvot, Chukim u'mishpatim, Otanu limadeta, Otanu limadeta, Al kin Adonai אלוהינו ושופטנו, וקומנו נשיח בחוקיך, ונשמח בדברי תורתך ומצוותיך לעולם ועד, כי הם חיינו ואורך ימינו, ובהם נהגי יומם ולילה, נהגי יומם ולילה. אהבת תשים ממנו לעולמים, ברוך אתה אדוני אוהב עמו ישראל, אוהב עמו ישראל. שמע ישראל, אדוני אלוהינו, אדוני אחד. ברוך שם כבוד מלכותו לעולם ועד.
Please be seated if you've been standing. And now another story. Actually, 3 short stories, all related. When TRT was founded in 1980, we had the support of the then Union of American Hebrew Congregations, and Rabbi Dan Freelander, who was then our regional director, a dear friend and colleague, came and sat down with the congregation and said, well, we have some things we can offer you. We can offer you some prayer books, Union Prayer Book, newly revised 1937. We can offer you, I'm sorry, my cat just decided to play with something here on the table. We can offer you 2 6-foot-tall candelabra, electric candelabra. We can offer you a Judaica display case, and we can offer you 4 dozen yellow and clear orange juice glasses and a Torah. Sure, it's remembering the orange juice glasses. So the leadership of the temple, prior to my arrival, took all of those. And in 1984, they decided that our unfinished basement was where they should all be stored. And so all of the above stayed in our basement for a number of years, except the Torah scroll. We gradually decided that the temple would not need the Judaica case. That was removed at some point. We also decided that no one ever would need 6-foot-tall electric candelabra. Those were disposed of. We and our children used those orange juice glasses for a number of years. I think the final one broke last year. That was a good investment. And we had a Torah scroll. And we used that Torah scroll for a long time. We used it until we had 2 of our own. And I'll explain more about that. But when we had 2 of our own, we sat down and said, what do we do with that first scroll? And we decided that rather than have a collection in the ark of scrolls that got pulled out once a year, that we should do better than that. That Rodef Torah, pursuers of knowledge, also means sharers of knowledge. And so we reached out to the World Union for Progressive Judaism, the Reform movement worldwide, and said, is there a congregation that needs a Torah scroll? We got one free when we began. Is there someone else? And they told us about Kehilat Gesher in Paris. That was a small congregation that had no Sefer Torah, no scroll. And we said, perfect, we're giving it to them with one stipulation. And that would be that when they had their own Torah scroll, that they would pay it forward again. That they would give, not keep it, but would give it to another congregation. And they said, fine. And Rabbi Cliff Colwyn, who was the head of the World Union at the time, came to the dedication of our 3rd scroll, which is now on the left in your picture. And he took the first one. He took it with him to JFK, flew to Paris, and delivered it to Kehilat Gesher. A number of years ago, Shira and I went to Paris and went to Gehilat Gesher for Friday night. And we said, hey, Tom, the rabbi, how are you? It's good. We want to see our Torah scroll. And he went, Don, you didn't get my email. I said, what? Is something wrong? He said, no. We had someone come and do a bat mitzvah here. And as a thank you, they donated a Torah scroll to us. And we remembered the promise we made. And so we gave it to a congregation in Copenhagen that was just starting up. Now, right now, Ellen Finkelstein is researching which congregation and where it is, whether it's still there or whether it's gone somewhere else. But we'll learn more about that when she's done with her research. Hopefully in the next couple of weeks, we'll see. But I love the fact that our first scroll, which lived on our living room couch for a number of years, has indeed taken on as its mission the starting of Reformed Jewish congregations around the world. It started a congregation in Marlborough. It started a congregation in Paris. It started a congregation in Copenhagen. And that is truly the definition of sacred work. So the second scroll we got is the one that you have on the right there, which is very large and incredibly heavy. And it was donated to us by Phil and Zena Miller. Phil heard that there was a congregation in New York City, an Orthodox congregation that also was going out of existence. And he went to them and said, I know a congregation that needs a Sefer Torah. And so we got it. And we've used it mostly on holidays because it's fantastically heavy, really fantastically heavy. I will tell you that the calligraphy is also completely different from any I've ever seen before. And several years ago, we had a sofer come in, a scribe, who took that Torah scroll back to his workshop, renovated the entire scroll, and then came and taught us about it, taught all our religious school kids. In fact, his picture is still the title picture on our temple Facebook page of him instructing all the children. And he said to us, did you know that your Torah is from Iraq? And I just looked at him and said, what? He said, it's Sephardi calligraphy. It's of a kind that was only used in Iraq. And it is about, at the time, 115 years old. And that's about 15 years ago, which makes this about 130-year-old Torah from Iraq. Now, when we talk about the things that make me feel there's a hand behind ours in all of this, the first girl to become bat mitzvah, once we had renovated this scroll, I won't say the name, it's all good. We were at the first time she read from it, what we call Torah portion and speech for all of those who've been through it. And when we took it out, I said to her, you know, we just learned the history of this scroll. And I told her the history. It's from Iraq 15 years ago. Her mother looked at me. Her mother's not Jewish. Her mother looked at me and her eyes were like saucers. And I said, what's wrong? And she said, my mother grew up in Baghdad. My mother played with the Jewish children who went to the Jewish synagogue in Baghdad before it became dangerous for Jews to live in Iraq, before it became dangerous for Christians to live in Iraq. My mother played with the Jewish children. And now my daughter's going to read from a Torah scroll from my mother's home city. And I've never forgotten. I can picture it because that's not coincidence. I don't understand it. I can't explain it. But that Torah is so special. It's bridged oceans, it's bridged cultures, it's bridged civilizations. The Iraqi Jewish community is gone, but the Torah lives on with each of us. And third, on the left, is the Torah scroll that we use regularly. We commissioned this Sefer Torah. We had it written for us. We had a celebration when it was begun. It was begun by a sofer sitting in our sanctuary and writing the first letters. It was then sent off to Israel in the course of a year to be written. And the people who wrote it sent it back with the last paragraph unfinished. And that same sofer came back to our congregation and sat down with us and finish this scroll in front of us. If you would like, the next time you are at TRT, in the hallway, in the main hallway, you'll see our thank you to the people who donated to make it possible. And framed in that frame is one of the feathers, the turkey feathers, that was used to write the last paragraph of that scroll right there. So that one is ours. And when it came to us, we had a wedding. Because that's what you do when you welcome the Kala, when you welcome the bride, you have a wedding. We danced with this Torah scroll under the ark. It was when we said goodbye to our first Torah scroll and sent it off to Paris. And these two have lived side by side ever since. So now we're going to sing something from the Torah.
Page 154, Ve'ahavta.
This is
54. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבבך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם להורות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם המזוזות ביתך ובשעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
156. God is called Adonai Tzvaot, literally the God of the armies. And we thank God for protecting us. All this we hold to be true and trustworthy for us. You alone are our God, and we are Israel, your people. You are our sovereign and savior, who delivers us from oppressors' hands and saves us from tyrants' fists. You work wonders without number, marvels beyond count. You give us life and steady our footsteps. You perform miracles for us before Pharaoh, signs and wonders in the land of the Egyptians. You led your people Israel out from their midst to freedom for all time. When your children witnessed your dominance, they praised your name in gratitude, and they accepted your sovereignty. Moses, Miriam, and all Israel sang to you together, lifting their voices joyously.
Page 158. מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדר בקודש, מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדר בקודש. נח תהילות וספלת, נח תהילות וספלת, מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדר בקודש.
And now I'd like to share with you a story of how TRT is really like the pond where you drop a pebble into the center. and the waves keep expanding out in ways we can't even imagine. The flag, the American flag in our sanctuary was given to us by Rabbi Captain Heather Borshoff. She brought it back with her from Iraq. Now, we've had several of our young people grow up and choose to serve in the military. The first that I'm aware of is Joel Fisher. At this time, we have Adam Clemens, who is in the Air Force, and we have Heather, who is in the United States Army. Well, I didn't know this, but the date that we moved into our sanctuary and had the first service was the 23rd of February in 1990. I didn't remember. It turns out that Heather remembered because her sister Kara was supposed to be born that day. And Kara was kind enough to wait a little while and be born several days later, which allowed Heather to come to this first service that was in our building. Okay. But on that date, 24 years later, she arranged to have that American flag flown over Bagram Air Force Base. And I thought about what it means that one of our own would remember us, would remember what it meant to move into our own place, to our holy space, and would choose to unite us with the United States of America and with our men and women in the armed services. It was such an honor to receive that. We received the flag at a Hanukkah service that year when she brought it home and gave us this certificate. The flag is on the bima. This certificate hangs in the sanctuary on the right-hand side as you're looking toward the ark near the memorial wall. And we are grateful that she thought of us and that she can remind us that everything we do is like dropping a pebble in a pond. We can never tell how far that circle will expand.
Page 160. I thought of this particular rendition of Ufros Aleinu because it made me think of a flag that encompasses all of us. You cry and I cry.
What can I do?
Baruch atah Adonai, haporei sukat shalom. Shalom aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael. Ve'al Yerushalayim ve'al kol amo. Ve'al Yerushalayim shalom. Ve'al Yerushalayim ve'al kol amo. Ve'al Yerushalayim shalom. Baruch atah Adonai, haporei sukat shalom. Shalom. Shalom aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael. Shalom aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael.
We continue on page 162 with Vishamru.
Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et HaShabbat, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם, ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל, אותי העולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם, ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם, ברית עולם. ויום השביעי שבת ויהי נפש, שבת ויהי נפש. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם, ברית עולם.
And now to something major, not minor. And in fact, two different things that you just need to know about. The first is our ark, and the second is visual tefillah. When we moved into our building, we realized immediately that the builder had made a mistake with our bima and had made it some 14 inches higher than we had ordered. By the time we realized it, the construction was just about done. And I think we got a little credit for it, but it resulted in a bima, you'll actually see a picture later, that was fantastically high. You needed oxygen on the bima. And we couldn't wait to change it because it was the least handicapped accessible bima I had ever seen anywhere. We considered an elevator, we considered a ramp, we considered everything, and it didn't work. So about 12 years ago, we renovated the sanctuary and we decided to create something new and different. And Erwin Keisel, Shelley Grainer, and Nina Grossman were the leads on this project to create an ark that was different. And so the shape is something I had not seen before, roughly resembling a tablet. It is made of Jerusalem stone, the very special stone that is seen throughout the city of Jerusalem and that for many years was required. Every Jerusalem building had to be encased in this stone. It's the most beautiful color, the most beautiful texture. And that was how this ark was created, with the ark itself floating in the middle. I love the structure. A little secret, behind the ark on that big post that goes around, there is a little cabinet, a little closet in which people put their wishes and their prayers at our dedication service. Those are still in there. I checked. In that are all, it's like a time capsule from 12 years ago when we dedicated this bima and this ark. We made it lower. We made it so people could get to it. We made it warmer. And at almost the same time, two people, Larry Rosen and Brian Feinberg, went to a president's seminar by the Reform Movement called the Scheit Seminar. And they saw two things there. One, they saw the prayers and songs projected on screens, which left their hands free. And along with that, they saw a very early service that looked something like a rock Shabbat, but it was different. It was new and exciting. And they came home and they said, how do we make this happen? And with credit going to, above all, Cantor Joanna Alexander, who had been a camp singer with Debbie Friedman, but had not done anything like this, we created Rock Shabbat. And we said, yep, we need the screens. And we made sure we had the screens. And since then, they've been part of everything we do. It is a tribute to vision. It is a tribute to people saying, what can we do? We've never done it. What can we do that's new? And as you look at this picture, to me, it symbolizes the very best of TRT. Try something new? Absolutely. Never been done before? So what? I love it. I've loved being able to pray in this sanctuary. And if you get the chance, when this whole thing is over, spend some time there at night when you're alone and turn off all the lights and sit by the light of the eternal light and the light of the memorial wall and just feel what the room has to say, because it's really, really good. So as we look toward our ark, we turn to the Amidah, starting on page 164. Please rise if you're able, or direct your heart toward heaven.
Adonai Svatai Tiftach Ufi Yagi Tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, האל הגדול, הגיבור והנורא, העליון, גומר חסדים טובים, וקונה הכל. וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה, מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן. ברוך אתה אדוני, מגיד אברהם בעזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיה כל עטריו להושיע, מוריד הצער. מחלקל החיים בחסד, מחיה הכל ברחמים רבים. סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומידו מלך, מלך ממית ומחיה, ומצמיח ישועה, ולמען אתה לחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיה הכל.
You are holy, your name is holy, and those who are holy praise you every day. Blessed are you, Adonai, the holy God. Baruch atah Adonai, ha'el hakadosh. Please be seated. And now I want to tell you about something that you may well have walked by many, many times and never noticed. When we moved into our building in 1990, the money was tight, to say the least. And so while we finished the sanctuary in what was white wallpaper, not the best move we ever had, but okay, the religious school was simply white cinder block. And it was a couple of years later that Nina Grossman, whom I mentioned worked on the sanctuary, came to us and said, the walls look terrible. Would you mind if I tried painting some stuff on them this summer? Well, Nina's summer project was her Sistine Chapel, because in the course of an entire summer, she created a mural which lines every single wall in the religious school. And she did it all with scenes from the Bible. And all of these that you're looking at now, and if there's one more, no?
Actually, there were four.
There are four.
Can't go back.
Yes, you can. This,
Sorry.
the Jordan, Masada, which is a little after the Bible, and this, which was Akko, the Yafo, the Sea of Jaffa. She created murals that have been there, that have told our children that you're part of something bigger than yourself and longer than yourself and spanning ages, literally spanning the ages. And she simply did it. At the end of the summer, those of us who hadn't been around in a while came in and found it. It was like a miracle. It was literally like the Sistine Chapel. And so if you haven't noticed them, please, the next time you're at TRT, go take a look and appreciate her artwork, because boy, she did some job.
We continue on page 178. Shalom Rab Israel Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rab Israel Amcha Tasim Leolam. Ki atahu melech Adon lechol hashalom. Ki atahu melech Adon lechol hashalom. Shalom Rab Yisrael Amcha tasim leolam. Shalom Rab Yisrael Amcha tasim leolam. V'tov beinecha levarech et amcha Yisrael b'chol עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. שלום רב ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. שלום רב ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. תשים לעולם. תשים לעולם.
We pray silently.
יהיו רצון אמרתי והגיון ליבי. יהיו רצון אמרתי והגיון ליבי לפניך. אדוני צורי, אדוני צורי וגואלי. Adonai, Tsuri, Adonai, Tsuri, go Ali. Go inside your heart, just be. Go inside your heart and see what it wants, what it needs, what it yearns when you breathe. Go inside your heart and see. May the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart,
my heart,
be kind,
be kind,
be true,
be true.
may they be acceptable to you. Oh, my rock,
My rock,
my
my
rock,
rock,
and my redeemer. Ooh, ooh,
And now I share with you one of the personal ones. This is the second iteration of this sign. The first one, I believe, is still there. It's a metal sign. When I came to Monmouth County, I joined the Morganville First Aid Squad. And all those who are around those first 10 years remember me sitting in the middle of things and my plectron going off and jumping up and dashing out and running to calls because it was good work. I loved it. I'm very proud to be a life member of the squad. And I went on more than my share of car accidents. And it became very clear, remember we're talking the 1980s, that the people who chose to wear seatbelts did markedly better in car accidents than those who didn't. And it was after a particularly bad one where an innocent person who was not at fault died because they weren't wearing a seatbelt when they were hit by a drunk driver. And I came back and I said to the temple, if it's okay with you, I want to use my money and I want to buy a sign that is there on the way out as everyone's leaving that says, put on your seatbelt. And if you look at Deuteronomy 22:8, it says, if you build a house that's got a second floor or a third floor and it's got a deck out there, a parapet, you have to put a fence around it. Because if you create a danger, you have to create the remedy. And it was understood that that was the Torah's insistence that we wear seatbelts. If we get in a car, if we get into a fast-moving vehicle, we create a danger. And we have to wear seatbelts because that's the way we put the fence around the parapet. And so I said, could I please do that? And it was my money, and someone nice from the township came and installed it with their sign installer. And then recently, when we were putting up these signs that Mort Blumenthal worked on, and Andrea Kazin, I believe you were involved in designing them, I thought, can we do that again? So on the way in, it says, welcome to TRT. But as you're leaving, it says, fasten your seatbelt. We've reached a time where most everybody knows this, but I just wanted people to know, even as you are driving out, that we care about you and we want you to be safe. So we turn now to our blessing for healing, because we can't see the sign right now, but we want you to know that TRT, the TRT community, that all of us are still praying for you to be safe, to be healed. This Misha Berach was written by Cantor Lisa Levine, who is coming to TRT beginning this summer as the new cantor. And if you know it, please join in.
Mishabach Avoteinu, Abraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov. Mishabach Imoteinu, Sari, Galeha V'Rachel. May the one who blessed our mothers, may the one who blessed our fathers, hear our prayer,
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 hear our prayer, and bless us as well. Bless us with the power of your healing. Bless us with the power of your hope. May the, I can't read it.
pain and long, may the pain and loneliness we're feeling.
May the pain and loneliness we're feeling be diminished by the power of your love. Mishabech Avotenu, Avraham, Yitzhak, Yaakov. Mishabech Imotenu, Sarah, Kalea v'Rachel. May the one who blessed our mothers, may the one who blessed our fathers, hear our prayer.
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 Hear our prayer. And bless us as well.
And now a silly one and then a personal one as the last two. The silly one is this room, which, if you've heard people referring to this storage area, is called the Bat Cave. Now you'll see there's a door at the far end, which leads to, if you do the calculation, the sanctuary. And yet, to understand it, you have to look at this. That happens to be one of our graduating classes.
Oh my God, that's Noah.
That's Noah. And several other people who are still around and now are parents of their own. That's what our bima looked like, folks. If you can see, it is 5 feet high. Now, when this was created, when our building was created, it was felt that the rabbi needed a dignified and powerful way to enter the sanctuary. And so off to your right, as you're looking at the bima, all the way on the right, there was a door. That door led down 5 or 6 steps into that little alcove, which had a door at the other side to the hallway, no sign on it. And I decided to call it the Bat Cave because I'd go in one side as Bruce Wayne and pop out on the bima as na rabbi. I don't know. I hated it. It wasn't who I am. It's not, here's Rabbi Weber. It wasn't, I couldn't wait, but that was the Bat Cave. So when we had the bima brought down to 3 steps and I was allowed to enter the room as, other people do by just walking in the door, we turned that into a storage room. And it's really important because all kinds of candy is stored in there, just so you know, but it still remains the Bat Cave no matter what. So telling you for no major philosophical reason, but just so that you should know why people call it the Bat Cave, for God's sakes. So now I have one more to share with you, but before we do, just a couple of quick things. First of all, thank you for being with us. I know the service has run a little bit long, but wanted to get all of these in. Thank you for this trip down memory lane. And I hope that all those of you who are going to be around for many years are going to be able to come in and go, yep, now I know the family history, because it does a whole lot to make you feel at home, because I know it's always done that for me. So tomorrow morning, we invite you to Shabbat morning service at 10 in the morning, trt.org/Saturday. At 9:15 tomorrow morning, our youngsters are invited to Tat Shabbat, where we're going to zoom into Israel. 9:15, and that's trt.org/tot, T-O-T. Join us for either of those. You will be seeing information soon about confirmation, which we will be celebrating with our confirmands on May 23rd, Saturday evening. And then also we're going to have a really wonderful Shavuot evening and Shavuot day study session that is called 10 Rabbis and 10 Commandments. 10 local rabbis, Reform and Conservative, around our community are joining together. Each of us is picking one of the 10 commandments and teaching it for half an hour, some on Thursday evening, some on Friday. And it's going to be a really beautiful way to celebrate Shavuot. We hope you'll join us. So now to the personal one. And of all the things that you've seen at TRT, this is probably the one you won't see, because this one at some point in the next month is coming down, and it is coming with us. Before we had a building, we had a family, Roger and Kelly Pack and their kids. Kelly wasn't Jewish. She decided she wanted to become Jewish, and so she studied with me, and she studied with me for a year. Now, Kelly was an unusual soul, and she was an artist, and she made jewelry She made cloth,
Pottery.
cloth things. She made pottery. And what I loved is that as we studied together, she would try to make something for each thing we studied. And so when we got to mezuzah, she made this mezuzah. And I remember we were sitting in my living room and she handed it to me. And I thanked her. It's beautiful. I love it. And she said, "Are you putting it up?" And I said, "No, I'm not." And she looked at me and I saw she was hurt. And I said, "Kelly, you don't understand that. I'm not putting it up now because this mezuzah is going to go on my office door when we build Temple Road of Torah." And I put it in a box and I put it away. And when our building was nearly done, and the people who designed it were going around with all the mezuzot they were going to put on doors, they had a really nice one for me. And I had to say to them, "I'm so sorry. I can't use yours. I have mine." And they looked at it and they said, "It doesn't match." And I said, "No, it matches. It matches really, really well." Kelly did not live to see the mezuzah go up on the door, but it is there. And I touch it every time I walk into my office. And it's made of clay, and I'm not sure how we're going to get it off because it's been on there for a long time. But it's coming with us, and it is going on the door to our office in our new home, because that's a promise that I made to Kelly and that I intend to keep. So we're going to turn to Kaddish now. And I'm going to leave this up because we remember the people whose names we say now, the people who have formed our congregation, the people who are as much a part of the foundation as any brick, as any nail. And so Kaddish is on page 598. This week, we remember those whose Shiva occurred this week. Stephen Kaufman, husband of Ellen Kaufman and father of Liza Minahan and Adam Kaufman, and a member of Temple Road of Torah. And those whose Shloshim we observe: Edwin M. Joseph, the father of David Joseph; Hedda Sheck, a member of Temple Road of Torah; Scott Reich, the brother of Ronnie Jane Reich; Arnold Friedman, the uncle of Leah Dasco; and Sheila Rittman, the sister of Maurice Height. We remember those whose yahrzeits occur this week: Julian Alton House, Herbert Schulman, Alice Harris, Gilbert Shore, Benjamin Chansey, Hyman Friedman, Florence Solomon, Shirley Weber, Miriam Barber, Bertram Neustadt, and Max Height. And to these names that we say aloud, we add all the names who form Temple Road of Torah. Please rise if you are able. Yitgadal v'yitkadash Shemei Rabbah, v'alma divrach yiruteh v'yamlich malchuteh, v'chayechon uv'yomechon, uv'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael, v'agala uv'zman kari v'imru amen. Yehei Shemei Rabbah mevarach la'alam l'amei amaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yithalal Shmei B'Kudsha B'Richu Ve'ela Min Kol Birchata V'Shirata Tushbechata V'Nechemata Ta'miran Be'alma V'Imru Amen. Yehei Shlama Rabba Min Shmaya V'Chayim Aleinu V'Al Kol Yisrael V'Imru Amen. Oseh Shalom B'Momav U'Ya'aseh Shalom Aleinu V'Al Kol Yisrael V'Imru Amen. May the one who creates harmony on high bring peace to us and to all Israel and to all the world, to which we say, Amen.
Oseh Shalom b'Momav U'Ya'aseh Shalom Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'yimnahu. Amen.
You know, I thought about what it meant to end with this mezuzah, which won't be there for you. And I decided that it was really appropriate because I'm not just talking about the history. I'm talking about the future. Kelly made memories. Every person who contributes their time and effort to our holy congregation creates memories, creates something that lives long beyond what we do. And so this mezuzah won't be there. You know why? Because you need to make new ones. Whatever your mezuzah looks like, whether it's clay, stained glass, or fabric, or words, or compassion, or food, whatever your mezuzah looks like, this is what Temple Road of Torah is. This is what it is. We will be back, we will return, and we will create new memories for ages and ages to come.
The word Hashivenu means we will return. At this melody we sometimes sing at Slichot. It was written by Steve Dropkin. Hashivenu Adonai Eilecha v'nashuva Chadesh Yameinu kekedem. Hashivenu Adonai Eilecha v'nashuva Chadesh Yameinu kekedem. Help us and guide us, inspire and provide us with the wisdom your Torah can show. Help us to learn, renew, and return, just as in times long ago. Hashivenu Adonai
Hashu Hadesh Yameinu Kedem. Hashivenu Adonai Eilecha
v'nashuva Chadesh Yameinu kekedem.
We are the members of a holy place. Shabbat Shalom to all of us. We will keep the screens online and undo the mute for everyone. We welcome you, wish you all Shabbat Shalom, and invite you to stay in shmooze.
Shabbat Shalom. Thank you for the
Shabbat
beautiful.
Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Shalom, everyone.
Shalom.
Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shalom.
Thank you.
Good to see you.
Be well.
Shabbat shalom, everyone.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat
Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom.
shalom.
He keeps me.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat shalom,
Shabbat
everyone.
Shalom.
The story should be in a book
Yeah.
or an article or something.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Those of us who are newer members didn't know any of them.
But I thought it'd be good to share. Now you're not new members anymore. Now you know the stories.
Not right.
Hmm.
That's right. Thank you for that.
Yes.
Shabbat shalom, everyone.
Shabbat shalom, everyone.
Shalom.
Very meaningful.
Shabbat shalom.
Inside the wall, still there.
Say goodbye. Everything. Hey, Barbara?
Hi, Barbara.
Hey, Barbara. Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna go, okay?
Barbara, you're on mute.
Barbara who taught me.
Shabbat shalom, everybody.
Shabbat shalom.
Carol Schenkels.
Hey, Barbara, press your microphone button, Barbara.
Bottom left.
Mute. I'm unmuted. That's the first time I shut my mouth. Okay.
Listen, Barbara, we can shut.
Shabbat shalom, everybody.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
See you next
Larry,
week.
Larry, you're muted.
Sandra!
Larry, you're still muted.
Hi,
Larry.
hi, Robin.
Hey, listen, I tried to call Shirley, and I realized
You're still muted.
She's in Florida.
Now you're not.
yeah, I need her number down there.
I'll text it to you.
Yeah, you know what? I have a number that I thought I was going to text her, you know, like when this all began. It's a home number. It's not a cell number.
Okay, I'll give you her number and her cell in Florida. So
Now,
she
listen, if I don't talk to her, well, I want to wish her well. Make sure everything's okay.
tell her you said hello.
I love that woman.
Howie, are you sure about that?
But yes, I do. I am sure about that. You know, she's the last legacy. She's the last legacy to my family.
That's funny. I know. It's a crazy.
You know, you talk about stories. That was wild.
I know. She's gonna be so happy I spoke to you tonight.
I'm telling Barbara, did you ever hear the story?
What?
With Shirley, Sandra, and
No.
this woman comes up to me after Shabbos service
Crazy.
and says, your last name, Gandelman. Yeah. I was good friends with a Shirley Gandelman. She came Shirley Heller, you know, married somebody, and then Miriam Gandelman.
No.
And I said, are you kidding? She says, no. I said, that's my aunt. That's my father's sister.
God.
Now, at that point when Shirley talked to me, my entire family was gone at that point. Within 1 year, I lost my father and both my aunts. So the Gandelman family on that side was gone. And here comes this woman saying, oh yeah, we were best friends. I lived in the Bronx with them. And I played with your aunt.
It's so crazy.
I was like, you have to be, and she knew everybody in my family. My grandmother, my grandfather, she knew them all.
Yeah, she knew your whole absolutely.
Yeah, I was like, it was incredible.
She was
That's
very
why I've learned to be careful about what I say about people because I might be related to them.
Funny. That's funny.
Yes, Brian, I'm definitely gonna tell her that that we spoke and that you're she'll really appreciate that.
Tell them I said, yeah, absolutely. Tell her I said hello.
Yeah.
All right. Everybody doing well?
Yeah. How about you? How's everybody else?
In fact, listen, we're all healthy. Knock wood. Healthy, safe. Can we keep it that way? You know, teaching going well, and just you know, this is what it is for us. You know, one day at a time. That we're okay.
One day at a time. Barbara, how are you?
Bored, but okay.
Okay.
Just so many things in my house I can clean. So
Right. Exactly. I'm going to tell Emily I saw you tonight.
please give her my love. And by the way, Robin,
Yes.
Is Robin?
congratulations for whipping my ass in that last game of words.
Which the game that you guys played? You beat her?
Oh.
That was
Oh,
that was sad.
Are we going to sign off, guys? We're going to eat dinner.
all right. Again, yeah, we're gonna go also. All you guys, Barbara, take care. We'll talk to you. Okay.
Okay, I'm here.
All right.
Night.
Everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.